The CPU cooler is one of the most essential components of a gaming PC. A stock cooler is only good for basic needs, but if you want to overclock your processor for extra performance, then you do need a good cooler for your budget gaming CPU. And CPU cooler provides way better cooling performance compared to stock coolers that come bundled with the processor. There are some budget CPU coolers that provide very good cooling performance and are also easy on your pocket. So in this video I'm going to review the top 5 CPU coolers under $50. I researched a number of CPUs and filtered out some of the best CPUs. I will leave the links to the discussed CPUs in the description. You can check them for more information and latest prices. Starting our list with ID Cooling SE234 RGB CPU Cooler. ID Cooling SE234 RGB CPU Cooler is another best air cooler under $50 and considered as an ultimate gaming cooler for customized CPU. It evenly distributes air and dissipates the heat like never before. The extraordinary heat pipes with a thickened aluminum top make it useful for heat to remain at the lowest and overclocking. An excellent budget RGB CPU cooler that offers great performance for the price and looks breathtaking. The cooler comes in black color and looks very stylish, even when the RGB lighting is off. It comes with an aluminum heatsink with an X-shaped fins design for better airflow and 4 6mm copper heat pipes having direct contact with the CPU for better heat dissipation. The heatsink is cooled down by a 120mm PWM fan with a dual ball bearing for a longer lifespan and spins at a speed of 902,000 RPM. The fan comes with a RGB LEDs and generates airflow of 56.5 CFM and static pressure of 1.99mm H2O, which are good figures. The fan is pretty silent at low and medium loads, but gets somewhat louder at full speed and has a maximum noise level of 31.5 dBA. The cooler comes with a lot of RGB lighting, as it has RGB LEDs in the fan and an RGB plate on the top of the heatsink, just below the heatsink cover. The cooler uses a 5V 3-pin addressable RGB connector, and you can plug it into the motherboard's RGB header and can sync the RGB lighting using the motherboard's RGB software. However, if your motherboard does not come with an RGB header, then you can use the included RGB controller to use and control the RGB lighting and effects. The CPU cooler supports all the popular Intel sockets and also includes the support for AMD AM4 socket. The installation is effortless, and the CPU cooler comes with all the necessary brackets, along with the thermal paste. Moreover, it offers almost 100% memory compatibility, and you can use taller RAM modules without any issues. At number 2 it is Cryorig H7 CPU Cooler. Cryorig H7 CPU Cooler comeback in the market was met by a lot of positive response. It is a budget-friendly air cooler that comes with all the good things. The Cryorig H7 CPU cooler secures 2 spots on our list. The first one is the Cryorig H7 CPU cooler. A decent mid-size CPU cooler with excellent performance and a stylish design topped with an attractive look. Cryorig may not be a popular name as Cooler Master, but it does offer a very good range of CPU cooling solutions. Here we have Cryorig H7 CPU cooler, which is a very good budget CPU cooler, and it supports all the major Intel and AMD sockets, including AM4 using upgrade kit. The design of this cooler heat sink features a proprietary hive fin structure, which allows for a combination of jet fin acceleration and turbulence reduction, as well as strengthening the structural strength of the fin stacks. It comes with 3 heat pipes with a copper base and has one 120mm fan, which is powerful and quieter too. The other great thing about this cooler is that it has a lower height of 145mm only, which means it can fit in almost all computer cases including mini ITX cases. Also, the performance of this Cryorig H7 cooler is a bit better than that of CM Hyper 212 Evo and is also known as Hyper 212 Evo Killer by some. Highly recommended by me. The fanatic design of Cryorig H7 CPU cooler is as efficient in performing capabilities as it is in aesthetic measures. With an award-winning design, the Cryorig H7 CPU cooler ensures a 5-year warranty to ease your long-term performance worries. At number 3 it is Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition. Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition is one of the most preferred choices for supreme cooling with a majestic design, a perfect mid-end cooler under $50. Its award name is Silent CPU Cooler. The top-shelf quality of the design and build is another reason to justify the price, along with the fact that it supports the latest CPU sockets and is an easy-to-fit match. The most popular budget CPU cooler of all time. Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo has just got even better with the release of the new Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition CPU cooler. This is more of an improved version of Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo that comes with some additional features, a new fan, and a totally new installation system. As the name suggests, this is a black color CPU cooler and features an anodized gunmetal black with a brushed aluminum surface finish to the top cover for a more refined look. The black color also helps in better heat dissipation and thus improves performance. This CPU cooler comes with a new 120mm fan, which is Silencio FP120. This is a silent 120mm PWM fan that spins at speed in the range of 652,000 RPM and generates static pressure of 2.9mm H2O, an airflow of 42 CFM, and has got a maximum noise rating of 26 dBA only. The cooler has got 4 copper heat pipes with direct contact technology and provides effective and excellent heat dissipation. The CPU cooler is as tall as Hyper 212 Evo, which is 159mm. One more great thing about Hyper 212 Black Edition is that it is super easy to install, which is not the case with Hyper 212 Evo. It supports almost all the major CPU sockets including AMD AM4 and Intel LGA 2066. So, if you are thinking of getting a Hyper 212 Evo, then my advice to you is to get this one instead. At number 4 it is Arctic Freezer 34E Sports Duo CPU Cooler. The Arctic Freezer 34E Sports Duo CPU Cooler is another best air cooler under $50 and considered as an ultimate gaming cooler for customized CPU. Arctic Freezer 34E Sports Duo is backed with a direct contact technology that enhances its performance and makes it an excellent heat dissipator with powerful fins and frail noise when running at its maximum motor speed. If you are looking for a budget CPU cooler that can give some of the high-end CPU air coolers and AI a run for their money, then it is Arctic Freezer 34E Sports Duo. This is a dual-fan CPU cooler that delivers an excellent price to performance ratio and is one of the best budget CPU coolers that you can buy for your gaming PC or work PC. The CPU cooler heatsink comes with 4 copper heat pipes that have direct contact with the CPU for better heat transfer. The heatsink and the heat pipes have a black thermal coating over them that leads to an optimized heat dissipation and helps a bit in the cooling process. The fans used in this CPU cooler are Arctic Bionics P fans that are high static pressure fans and have a higher RPM range, 200-100 RPM, to deliver cooling performance. They come with fluid dynamic bearing and are arranged in push-pull configuration for better airflow and cooling performance. The fans are silent at lower speeds but can get audible at full speed. The CPU cooler is 157mm in height, which means most of the cases will not face any problem fitting it in. When it comes to performance, then it easily beats the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition, Arctic Freezer 33E Sports 1, Scythe Mugen 5 Rev B, Cryorig H7 Quad Lumi, Cooler Master ML 240p Mirage. The cooling performance of this CPU cooler is almost equivalent to the Noctua NHD15 and Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4, which are bulky and massive high-end CPU air coolers with dual tower design. Arctic Freezer 34E Sports Duo is rated for CPUs with TDP up to 210 watt, which is amazing for such a smaller cooler. It is compatible with almost all the popular Intel and AMD sockets including the AM4. The installation of CPU cooler is hassle-free and easy, and because of its compact design, it offers optimal RAM compatibility. And the last one is ID Cooling SE224XT Basic CPU Cooler. The best cheap CPU cooler you can ever find is the ID Cooling SE224XT Basic. It retails at only $27, but can easily beat the CPU coolers double its price. The CPU cooler comes with an aluminum heatsink having specially designed microwave structure fins that increase the surface area for better heat dissipation. The heatsink has 4 6mm copper heat pipes with direct touch technology for better transfer of heat from the processor IHS to the heatsink. The heatsink is cooled down by a 120mm fan that comes with a hydraulic bearing and generates airflow of 76.16 CFM and static pressure of 2.16mm H2O that are very good figures in terms of cooling performance. The fan is quiet at lower to mid speeds but can get a bit noisy at full speed. The maximum noise level rating of the fan is 32.5 dBA, which is quite acceptable, to be honest. The CPU cooler is rated for 180 TDP of cooling performance, and you can run mid-range to higher-end processors comfortably on stock speed. When it comes to performance, then it beats the popular Cooler Master Hyper 212X, Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, Be Quiet Dark Rock Slim and Cryorig H7, which are more expensive coolers from well-known and bigger brands. The cooler supports majority of Intel sockets and AMD AM4 socket. The installation is straightforward and hassle-free. The top of the heatsink features a black top plate that gives the cooler a premium and upmarket appearance. Another great thing about this budget CPU cooler is that it offers perfect RAM compatibility, which means it does not interfere with the nearby RAM slots, and fitting high-end RAM with tall heat spreaders is not a problem. Also, the cooler is 154mm tall and can fit in almost all the mini tower and all the mid-tower cases perfectly. Overall, an excellent CPU cooler for the price and is highly recommended for anyone. And I would like to say that these budget CPU coolers deliver top cooling performance and support all the latest processors including 8th generation, 9th generation, and AMD's Ryzen processors. They are super cheap and some of them can fit in the smallest of the cases. In my opinion, Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo CPU cooler is the overall best CPU cooler in terms of better cooling and performance. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching this video.